This is the brief on AI Decoded. Think of this weekly show as your very own universal translator, taking all that intimidating tech speak and turning it into practical, everyday language for folks without a technical background. First, we need to look at who this is actually for, because their core mission is to make artificial intelligence finally click for non-technical users. Since we aren't all programmers, the show acts as a strict filter for information, which really makes you wonder, if AI systems are so profoundly complex, how accessible can they genuinely be for an absolute beginner? Well, second, we see how the two hosts answer that by aggressively filtering the noise, separating what's actually useful.
As an independent professional, you're probably spending just a massive amount of energy.
Oh, yeah, a terrifying amount of energy.
Exactly. And maybe a little too much of your sanity trying to chase down that next big client.
Yeah.
And we all know that feeling.
We really do. It's exhausting.
It is. It's this constant, outward gaze. You're always looking toward the horizon, trying to acquire new leads, win new business, pitch to total strangers.
Right.
But what if I told you that your most valuable clients, the ones who are actually going to build your business into something sustainable, they aren't the ones you're desperately trying to acquire right now?
Nope, not at all.
They are the ones you've actually already worked with.
It's a profound shift in perspective, honestly. And it's completely counterintuitive to how most of us are trained to think about business.
Yeah, literally backwards.
Right. Because we spend so much of our operational bandwidth on acquisition that we just completely neglect retention and, more importantly, reactivation.
Reactivation, yeah.
We end up treating past clients like, I don't know, completed video game levels rather than actual ongoing relationships.
I love that analogy, completed levels. Well, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are looking at some incredibly insightful source material on building business development infrastructure.
It's a really great guide.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack how making small, systematic investments in two wildly neglected areas, meaning your past clients and your website, can completely transform a business.
Yeah, from an exhausting everyday hustle into, well, a machine that actually grows by design.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why are we so notoriously bad at remembering the people who, already like us and know we do good work?
It fundamentally comes down to cognitive load, right? Like how the human brain manages attention. Let's look at the psychology of a past client for a second.
Okay.
In marketing terms, we call this a warm audience, but let's go deeper into what that actually means mechanically.
Right, because a cold lead is totally different.
Completely different. A cold lead, a brand new client, brings an enormous amount of skepticism to the table.
Well, for sure. Defenses are way up.
Exactly. Their brain is actively looking for reasons to say no because hiring someone new is a huge risk. They're calculating, can this person deliver? Are they reliable? Is this going to just blow my entire budget?
Yeah, but a past client doesn't have any of those cognitive hurdles, do they?
None of them. You've already delivered for them. The whole risk assessment part of their brain is completely relaxed when it comes to you.
Because the trust is already established.
Yeah.
You've basically bypass the entire defensive perimeter of their brain.
You have. So logically, when they need your specific services again, and this is even more common when a colleague asks them for a recommendation, they should immediately think of you.
Right, they should.
But in reality, human memory is incredibly fallible. So what often happens is they pause, they search their memory banks, and they say, well, I worked with someone a while back, they were fantastic, but I'm completely blanking on their name.
Oh man, just hearing that physically hurts.
I know, right?
It is the ultimate missed opportunity. I mean, it's like going on an incredible first date. You both have a fantastic time. You promise to call.
Yeah. And then life happens.
Exactly. You just get completely consumed by a massive project at work for 8 months. You can't just send a text that says, hey, out of the blue 3 seasons later and expect them to still be waiting by the phone.
No, of course not. The warmth decays.
Right.
And what's fascinating here is that the reason for this drop-off, it isn't malicious, and it's rarely a conscious choice.
Right. People aren't trying to be rude.
Exactly. It isn't a lack of good intentions on the part of the professional. They are acutely aware they should stay in touch.
Yeah, we all have that guilt.
But they fail entirely in execution because they rely on human working memory rather than an explicit external system.
Ah, right. Memory versus system.
Think about the mechanics of an active project. It sits the absolute center of your attention. But the second that final invoice is paid, what happens?
Move on to the next one.
Right, the brain's triage system kicks in. Your attention is violently pulled to the next immediate revenue-generating fire.
Wow, violently pulled. That's so true.
And the previous client quietly drops out of your active consciousness because they just aren't an urgent problem to solve anymore. Weeks bleed into months, a year evaporates, and that incredibly warm relationship has gone completely ice cold.
Because good intentions simply do not scale. You can't just, hope you'll magically remember to be a good professional friend when you're juggling 20 other crises.
No, you need scaffolding.
You need scaffolding. And the source material lays out exactly what that scaffolding looks like. It's called the 12-month warmth strategy.
And the architecture of the strategy is brilliant specifically because of what it doesn't do.
What do you mean?
Well, the goal is not constant contact. Constant contact is exhausting for you and, frankly, incredibly annoying for the client.
Right, nobody wants spam.
Exactly. The goal is strategic friction reduction. You're making contact at highly specific moments that provide genuine psychological value.
Okay, so the sources outline a cadence of about 5 to 6 touch points over an entire year. Let's walk through what that actually looks like in practice.
Sure.
It starts immediately after the work concludes with a genuine, customized thank you. Emotions are high, the relief of a finished project is there, so it's the perfect time to anchor that positive feeling.
Definitely.
But then, the system demands a follow-up 30 days later. Just a quick check-in to ask how the results of the work are settling in. Why 30 days?
So that 30-day window targets a psychological phenomenon known as post-purchase rationalization.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. About a month after spending money or resources on a project, a client will often subconsciously evaluate if it was really worth it.
Like buyer's remorse?
Exactly like buyer's remorse. By showing up at that exact moment, not to sell anything, right, but simply to ensure they're still getting value from what you already did,
Yep.
you completely neutralize any of that buyer's remorse.
Wow. That's powerful.
It really is. You're demonstrating that you care about their long-term outcome, not just the transaction itself.
That is a crucial distinction. Okay then, the timeline moves to personal milestones like birthdays or the anniversary of the project completion.
Right.
Following that, the system suggests reaching out every 3 to 4 months with something purely useful. An article, a shift in the market, maybe a quick observation about their industry, and finally, an end-of-the-year reflection.
Mechanically, on a spreadsheet, this looks incredibly easy.
It really does. It's just a few emails.
But let's examine the human friction that stops people from actually doing it. As time passes, the psychological weight of reaching out gets heavier and heavier.
Oh, for sure.
If you haven't spoken to someone in 8 months, sending an article feels incredibly awkward. The professional sits there thinking, how do I sound warm without being cloying?
Right. Or if I send this market research, are they going to think I'm just desperately begging for work?
Exactly. The cognitive friction of staring at a blank page, trying to perfectly calibrate the tone of a hello again email, usually results in them just closing the laptop and doing nothing at all.
Which brings us to the proposed antidote to that very specific paralysis. Using AI, and specifically Claude, to draft these messages.
Yes, the AI antidote.
The guide suggests that you just feed the AI the raw context, who the client is, the nature of the project you completed, and how long it's been since you last spoke, and let it generate the draft.
Right.
But wait, I have to push back hard on this.
Go for it.
We are talking about relationship building. Isn't it profoundly insincere to have an algorithm write a heartfelt thank you note or a thoughtful industry observation to a client you actually care about? I mean, it feels a little dystopian.
That is the most common and, frankly, the most human reaction to this idea.
I mean, it just feels weird.
I get it, but it stems from a misunderstanding of what the AI is actually being hired to do in this scenario.
Okay, explain that.
Claude is not replacing your sincerity. It is providing activation energy.
Activation energy.
Yeah, in physics, activation energy is the minimum amount of energy required to start a chemical reaction. In writing, it's the energy required to overcome the blank page. Ah, I see.
The AI is simply building the grammatical scaffolding. It takes your genuine context, your actual thoughts about this client, and structures it into a natural, non-awkward opening.
So it's not the final product.
Not at all. The source material is adamant that this is just a first draft. It requires your specific voice, your personal touch, and your rigorous review before hitting send.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
You aren't outsourcing your humanity. You are outsourcing the agonizing 15 minutes of overthinking the word hello.
I see. It is getting you out of your own way. You provide the raw ingredients, the AI mixes the batter, and you bake the cake.
Exactly. And the guide pairs this AI workflow with a monthly calendar approach.
Right, bashing it.
Yeah. Instead of randomly remembering to email people throughout the month, you dedicate one single hour at the start of the month. You look at your list, see who is due for their 30-day or 6-month touch point, and you draft all of that outreach in one highly focused session.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, wait, no, you said that earlier, but seriously, 1 hour a month. Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the purest definition of a high leverage activity. 1 hour of focused planning and drafting at the beginning of the month equates to 12 hours a year.
12 hours a year is nothing.
It's nothing, but the return on those 12 hours is asymmetrical. By consistently executing this rhythm year over year, you are no longer just maintaining a static database of contacts.
You're cultivating a network.
You're cultivating a living, breathing network. And networks compound. This rhythm creates a predictable system that organically generates referrals, effectively replacing the endless anxiety of cold acquisition.
So let's trace the domino effect here. Let's say you execute this perfectly. You sent the 30-day check-in. You sent the helpful article at 6 months. The system works.
Awesome.
Your past client is at a conference. They are talking to a colleague who desperately needs your exact expertise. And because you stayed top of mind, they remember your name.
Perfect scenario.
They say, oh, you absolutely have to hire this person. What happens next?
Yeah.
That colleague doesn't immediately pick up the phone and call you. Nope. The very first thing they do is Google your name.
100%.
Which brings us to the second, and arguably most critical, half of our mission today. The forgotten digital storefront. Your website.
This is the moment of the critical handoff. Your relationship-building system is the invitation, but the website is the actual house you are inviting them into.
I love that. The house.
And it is the exact arena where that fragile borrowed trust from the referral either solidifies into confidence or instantly dissolves into suspicion.
Imagine handing a highly recommended VIP client a business card, but the card has like coffee stains all over it, the phone number is crossed out and written in pen, and the logo is peeling off.
It would be humiliating.
It would, but that is what most independent professionals' websites actually look like. According to the sources, the website is the most neglected business asset in existence.
Completely neglected.
They are built once, launched to the world, and then left to quietly decay. Why does this happen? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The sources identify a massive psychological and logistical hurdle known as the nephew problem.
The nephew problem. It perfectly encapsulates the chaos of small business infrastructure.
The reality is most business owners literally do not know what platform their website is built on.
They have no idea.
Because they weren't the ones who built it. It was set up by a friend who is good with computers, or a freelancer they hired for a month 5 years ago, or their incredibly helpful nephew who built it over Thanksgiving break and has since graduated college and moved on.
You've all been there.
The keys were handed over with zero documentation, and now the business owner is entirely locked out of their own digital house. How can you possibly fix the plumbing if you don't even know what city the house is located in?
You're completely paralyzed, and we really have to acknowledge the psychological barrier preventing owners from fixing this. Shame, honestly. It is deeply embarrassing for a highly competent professional, someone who is a recognized expert in their own field, to admit out loud, I have absolutely no idea how my own website functions.
Oh, I bet it triggers massive imposter syndrome.
Huge imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So rather than asking for help and feeling foolish, they just engage in avoidance. The website sits there, the information grows stale, and the design degrades.
Wow.
But identifying the platform, the content management system, or CMS, is the master key. Without knowing if the architecture is WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace, any technical advice anyone gives you is purely hypothetical.
Which means the very first step is to take back those keys. We have to do some digital detective work.
Put on the detective hat.
Exactly. And the sources provide a brilliant foolproof guide to figuring out what platform your site is running on, even if you have zero technical skills.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone told me to fix my car engine, I wouldn't even know if I was looking at a Ford or a Honda. So how do we find out?
Well, the first and most obvious step is often overlooked: the email archive.
Just search your email.
Yeah. Simply search your inbox for the year the business started, using keywords like website setup or domain.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if that fails, you can look at the login URL, the digital back door of the house. For instance, if you go to your website address and add a /webadmin and a login screen pops up, you are running WordPress.
Sneaky.
Right. If the backend login is account.squarespace.com, well, you have your answer.
It's like checking the manufacturer's tag on the back of a piece of furniture.
Exactly.
And if those backdoor tricks don't work, there is a completely free tool mentioned called whatcms.org. You literally just type your web address into their search bar. It scans the underlying code of your site in seconds and tells you exactly what platform it was built on.
It's basically magic.
Or you can lean on AI again. You can describe what the secret backend looks like to Claude. Like, it has a dark gray menu on the left side, there's a little W logo, and a section called plugins.
And Claude can instantly act as your technical detective and identify it as WordPress.
That is so cool.
The moment you acquire that single piece of information, the name of the platform, the entire landscape changes. You transition from helpless to empowered.
Because now you know the language.
Yes. Because now you can return to Claude and ask for highly specific step-by-step instructions for your exact reality. You aren't guessing anymore. The AI can tell you to change your bio on Squarespace, click the gear icon in the top right, then select Pages, then click the text box.
The black box is finally open.
The box is open.
Okay, so the box is open. I am staring at my dashboard. I have the keys, but I am terrified I am going to break my business.
That's a very real fear.
What should we actually be prioritizing when we get in there? The sources categorize the changes into 3 buckets. Visuals, like updating outdated colors or fonts to look modern.
Super important.
Content, which has the highest immediate impact to, rewriting your bio so it reflects what you actually do today. And adding fresh testimonials. And finally, functional changes.
Right, the functional stuff.
But I have to admit, functional changes scare me. We're talking about contact forms and booking calendars. I have heard absolute horror stories of a business owner realizing a year too late that their Contact Me form was broken and sending high-ticket leads into a digital void.
Ouch. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Is it really safe to mess with these functional elements without a degree in computer science?
This raises an important question about our collective fear of technology. We often let the fear of, breaking the code prevent us from performing basic, critical business maintenance.
Because the consequences feel so high.
They do. But we have to update our mental model of how the internet works today. Modern platforms require absolutely zero coding to make these high-impact changes.
Really? Zero code?
Zero. It
Yeah.
is an entirely visual interface. Furthermore, elevating the technical functionality of your site doesn't mean writing code. It means connecting tools.
Okay, like what?
Well, you can use platforms like Zapier to seamlessly connect that contact form directly to your phone via SMS, ensuring a lead never falls into the void again.
Oh, that's smart.
But the fear of publishing a mistake or a broken link or a misaligned image is completely valid because an error signals sloppiness to the brain of the visitor.
Right. If a potential client is trying to give you money and they click a button that leads to an error page, their brain unconsciously assumes, well, if they can't manage their own website, how are they going to manage my complex project?
Exactly. It destroys the borrowed trust.
So how do we avoid that?
That is precisely why the ultimate safety net is built into every single modern platform. The preview function, sometimes called draft mode.
The preview function.
Yes. You can rewrite your entire homepage, change the colors, integrate a new calendar, and then simply hit preview. You experience the exact environment the visitor will see without altering the live site at all.
Wow.
It transforms your relationship with your website from a state of constant anxiety into a digital sandbox where you are free to experiment safely.
You literally cannot break the internet in preview mode.
You cannot.
But before you graduate from the sandbox and finally hit that publish button, the sources give us a brilliant, non-negotiable 3-minute pre-publication checklist.
Yes, a checklist.
Because even if you stare at a preview, the human eye becomes blind to its own mistakes, right? We need a system to catch the errors.
We do. Those 3 minutes are the final barrier between projecting absolute professionalism and launching a completely preventable disaster.
Okay, let's break down the mechanics of this checklist. First, you must check the site on both desktop and mobile.
Essential.
The sources point out a harsh reality. The vast majority of your referrals are looking you up on their smartphone while standing in line at the grocery store, using their thumb to navigate.
Yep.
If your beautiful desktop site translates to microscopic text and overlapping images on a phone screen, you've lost them immediately.
Instantly.
Second, spelling and grammar. Third, manually click every single button and link, to ensure the pathways actually work.
Tedious but necessary.
Fourth, analyze your image loading speed. Why is speed a checklist item?
Image loading speed is directly tied to user psychology and dopamine drop-off.
Dopamine drop-off.
Yeah. The modern internet user has a tolerance of about 2 to 3 seconds for a page to load.
That fast.
That fast. If you upload a massive uncompressed image file, the site stutters. During that stutter, the user's brain experiences cognitive friction, their attention breaks, and the perceived competence of your brand plummets.
That is wild. Just because a picture's too big.
Just because it took too long to load.
And the final checklist item.
Yeah.
Verify your contact information. It sounds almost patronizingly basic, but the force emphasizes the tragedy of the one-digit off phone number.
Oh, it is a tragedy.
Imagine the sequence of events.
Yeah.
You spent 12 months flawlessly executing the warm strategy. You provided value. You earned the referral.
You did everything right.
Everything right. The colleague navigated to your newly polished, mobile-optimized, lightning-fast website. They are entirely sold. They go to call you. And the number is disconnected because you made a typo. It is the ultimate preventable business tragedy.
It really is. It is the collapse of the entire infrastructure at the final inch.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at both of these systems side by side, the 12-month warmth strategy for past clients and the demystification of your website platform, the underlying principle linking them is the concept of infrastructure.
Infrastructure over sheer effort.
Exactly. We tend to view business growth as this grueling daily requirement to push a boulder up a mountain through willpower alone.
Sweating for every dollar.
Right. But what this deep dive reveals is that making very small, highly systematic investments today, like spending 1 hour a month letting an AI help you overcome the blank page, or spending 10 minutes finding your CMS backdoor and checking your mobile site, determines your reality months from now.
Completely.
That is a fundamental difference between a business that only generates revenue when you are actively sweating and pitching and a business that grows by design. You are building a machine that works quietly in the background while you focus on your actual craft.
And, that framework leaves us with a really fascinating trajectory to consider.
What's that?
Well, we've discussed using AI to simply draft the messages we actively ask it to write, right?
Yeah.
But if we project this infrastructure forward, what happens when the AI evolves from an executor to an editor or even a scout?
A scout, like looking for things.
Exactly. Imagine an automated system that doesn't just write the draft, but autonomously monitors public data, like your past clients' LinkedIn profiles or their company press releases.
Oh, wow.
Right. So when a past client gets promoted or their company secures funding, the AI anticipates the touch point, drafts the congratulatory message with perfect context, and simply flags it for your approval.
That is next level.
It is. The human role shifts entirely from remembering to maintain the relationship to simply authorizing the genuine connection.
That is an incredible thought to leave on. The technology is rapidly shifting to support the human element, not replace it. You are doing the hard expert work for your client, so make sure your internal systems are working just as hard to support you. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. And seriously, as soon as you finish listening, go find out exactly what platform your website is running on. You will thank yourself later.
This is The Brief on the AI Decoded podcast. AI Decoded is a weekly show that provides actionable tech advice. And today we are looking at their broadcasting footprint and upcoming programming. Keeping up with AI tools feels kind of like navigating this dense, totally unpredictable jungle, which is exactly why finding a reliable guide is absolutely crucial. First, where do you find that guide? Well, listeners can expect a new episode every single week, accessible across all major platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So why